If you want to create Apple text animation, keep watching. I'm going to show you exactly how I made this. The script is important, but you don't have to overthink it. Just keep it really simple, really short phrases, use simple language. You can look at Apple's existing ads to get some idea of how they communicate things. Of course, you can always use ChatGPT. I don't really recommend it if you're doing something simple like this. People can usually tell when you're using a ChatGPT script, so just type something out and call it good. Start with the phrase you want typed out. I have text animation. I also have my Apple logo. Now I want to animate chunks of this. It's not going to be text animation all animated at once. It's going to be text and then animation. So duplicate text animation a few times, text animation. I'm going to turn the bottom layer red so it's a guide, a template for where everything should go. And then the first duplicate, I'm going to delete everything except text. The next duplicate, delete everything except A and I. For the next one, do MAT, and the final one, it's going to be ION. And then all you're doing is moving the text layers into place. I'll zoom through that. Okay, so I have everything now where I want it to be. I'm going to turn off this bottom layer, which I no longer need, and I am going to add a position animator to the Apple logo, which is controlled by this null, as well as my text here, text animation. Add a keyframe for position. I'm going to move that keyframe forward 3 frames. Three or 4 frames is probably fine. I'm going to go with 3. Keep it pretty tight and clean. And then going to animate upward about 15 pixels or so. So it's going to be pretty subtle, and I think that's going to be fine. Then add easing, add easy ease. You can always play around with the easing. I'm just going to leave it as is. And then you want to move the layers so that it's going in order. So Apple logo first, and then text. Animation. And now this could always be better. You can tweak these things. You can tweak these things forever. I just want to show you what this is going to look like. So this is the general process, Apple text animation. I think that's pretty much fine. That's more or less what we want. Hide all the previous layers that you've created up to this point and type out the phrase text animation is hard. This is going to be the template for where you want everything to go. And I'm going to move it down to the bottom and then turn on all the text layers that we just created. And we want to add a null for the overall phrase. So for this phrase, Apple text animation, we are going to be adding a null for the entire phrase so that we can move it over to overlap with text animation is hard. And then we're going to add in the words is and hard. So this null, I'm going to call it Apple text animation phrase. And I'm going to rename this Apple logo. So I'm going to parent the Apple logo null to the Apple text animation phrase null. And then I'm going to grab the text animation, also parenting that to the Apple text animation phrase null. And let's have the null start right when the last part of the word animation ends. Add a position keyframe, move forward roughly 20 frames, and turn back on the template layer. Text animation is hard. Move it over so you can see it. And let's move this into place. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so I can get it precise. Looks good, looks good. That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want. Add some easing. For this, I'm going to have it start out fast and then taper off. That looks fine. Doesn't have to be too exaggerated. That looks fine to me. Let's see how this looks. Text animation is hard. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're going for. Apple text animation is hard. The next part of this is you need to animate the words is and then hard, exactly the way we animated the preceding phrase, Apple text animation. So just to keep everything from being jumbled, I'm going to hide these black text layers in the Apple logo. And then I'm going to duplicate this template phrase here twice. One for is and one for hard. So is hard. Make both of these black. This is the same process for what we did in the initial part of this animation. The first duplicate, I'm going to delete everything except the word is. The second duplicate, I'm going to delete everything except the word hard. Move these into place. I'll start with hard. And then is. There we go. Then I'll be adding a position keyframe for both of these. Same thing. Move it about 3 frames forward, and then we're animating the y-axis about 15 pixels. Add easy ease, and then stagger them is and then hard. Let's turn off this phrase. Let's just see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. So I'm going to turn everything else back on. Apple text animation is hard. I like that. The next part is adding this animation of the word hard getting crossed off and then adding in easy. And the word easy is supposed to look like it was like drawn in, like you're editing this with a pen, you know. So anyway, the way to do it is basically just use your pen tool to add a shape layer that goes across the word hard. Use a trim paths to animate using animating the end position. So you're going from end is 0% to end is 100%, and it looks like it's being drawn on that way. And I also added a roughen edges with the border dropped down to 4, and then I added a random seed to give it a little bit of motion as well. The roughen edges is to give it the effect of looking like it's, well, has a rough edge. It looks more like it was drawn on by like a marker. And then for the text, I used the Adobe handwriting font Tiffany, made it a little bit smaller, used the same blue color. So instead of adding roughen edges, I used a turbulent displace for that one and dropped the amount down to 5, and also animated the random seed so it has a little bit of motion as well. That might be too much motion, but this is what it's supposed to look like. By the way, if you want a part 2, let me know in the comments. Now back to the video. The next phrase is the key to Apple Magic. And as you can see, the Apple logo slides over to a new position. And as it slides over to its new position, these new words, the key to, and then magic, animate using the position keyframe downward into place. Now, to show you what happened here, let me just back up for a second. I'm going to hide all of these layers that you can see right now, and I'm going to turn on the template that I used. So I created this red template, the key to, and I made a duplicate of the Apple logo and turned it red. And I made this just to show me where everything should go, where everything should animate to. And then to create the individual words, I did exactly what we've been doing previously. I duplicated this red layer 4 more times and then deleted all the words except for the one that I wanted to animate. So the key to magic. And that's exactly what we have here. The key to Apple Magic. And then the other step, remove the words that are animating off. So that would be text animation, and then is hard, and then also easy. Those are all going to disappear as well. And they're going to do it sequentially. So as you can see, as the Apple logo moves, the word text ends. This text layer ends as soon as the Apple logo moves above it. Same thing for the first part of animation, ANI, then MAT, then ION. These text layers, they just disappear. I have them end as soon as the Apple logo passes by them, and that's how they're going to transition off the screen. After the key to Apple Magic, we get a change in background. So it's a blue background, and the phrase is sharp contrast. To transition from this to the next phrase, so to transition from the key to Apple Magic to the next phrase, you want to cut off these text layers, and we'll cut them off here, and I will move the blue background and the text phrase over. But we're not quite on to this next phrase just yet, because I want to put a little bit of a transition from the phrase that we have currently to the next phrase, a motion transition. I'm going to parent the key to Apple Magic to a null layer. So I'm going to create a new null. I'm going to call this null key to Apple Magic and take the text layers and parent them to this null. Now for the Apple logo, it's a little bit trickier because I can't just parent this Apple logo to this new null. It's already parented to a null that we used previously in this animation. So the trick here is I'm going to do Shift Command D and create a duplicate. I'm going to move that duplicate up so it's here. Now this duplicate layer is fine to parent to a new null, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So we have the key to, and then this Apple duplicate layer magic, and they're all parented to this null. And how do you know they're all parented? Well, you can test it out. You can wiggle it around. It looks good. So we add a position keyframe in this null, and then I'm going to move over a little bit to the left, maybe like that. Add easy ease. Change the easing so that this null is starting out slow and then it's moving fast. Okay, so it's going fast, it's going to the left. I'll move this keyframe so that it overlaps into the next animation. But to complete the transition, this phrase is sharp contrast. I think there's supposed to be a period here. This phrase is sharp contrast. I'm also going to add the same animation, but it's going to be the inverse. So I'm going to take this phrase, is sharp contrast, I'm going to parent it to another null. I'm going to call it is sharp contrast null. And that one, also adding a position keyframe, moving it forward. This was about like that. And then it is going to be moving in the same direction. Add easy ease. The difference here is that, and this is what I mean by inverse, it's going to start out fast and then it's going to slow down. So it's an inverse. This one's going fast, it's going fast, but it's slowing. It's slow and it's picking up speed, it's fast, it's slowing down. And it's just a nice transition, makes it look a little more smooth rather than just jumping suddenly to the next layer. Let's see what this looks like in real time.